Hello everyone, and welcome to the X Factor Festival. I am your host Vriti. Before diving into this session, I would like you all to tell about a little bit about Zuffle. Zuffle is a career guidance platform that helps you succeed in the early stages of your career. It helps you explore career paths, get mentoring and counseling, and collaborate with like-minded people. Today with the our so today in this session, our guest is Mr. Kartik Sankaran. Personal finance can be a complicated topic. How to budget, how to save, where to invest, am I doing this right or not? I know we all struggle with it. So, to uncomplicate this complicated topic, we have Kartik here with us. Kartik is the founder of Physical Fitness and has more than 15 years of professional experience and has served as an associate partner at EY. He is also an alumnus of Alliance Manchester Business School. Welcome Karthik to the
Thank you.
Festival. How are you?
All good. Thank you for having me.
So, before like getting into personal finance and everything, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. Firstly, I just like to thank all of you for turning up. I know personal finance can be daunting, and it's very good that you've actually taken the first step, which is being aware and trying to turn up for it. So well done on that. About me, I used to, work in the corporate side of things, and somewhere in the middle of COVID, the entrepreneurial bug bit me, and that's when I ventured out to create Physical Fitness. The mission is very simple: it's trying to help people with personal finance and do what's right for them and their family. And through the next 20-25 minutes, I am going to walk you through basically, what are the most important things to think of when it comes to the topic. There will be a lot of information out there on social media, but this is my attempt of trying to simplify and, as the topic says, give you a basic 101, the basics you should know when it comes to personal finance. Um,
No. Over to you, Karthik. You can
yeah,
start with your
sure. Okay.
presentation.
Great. So, what should we expect today? What is all personal finance, financial planning about? If someone wants to put in the chat box what they think this is about, I'll wait for a second. If somebody wants to take a guess at what really is personal finance. Compared to the earlier sessions, I do have the chat box open, so please feel free to type. This needs to be a bit interactive. It's not a one-way conversation where I'm going to tell you what to do. Personal finance, you'll realize, is very much individualized for each one. So yeah, just have a go. Somebody, what does personal finance mean to you? Okay, thanks, Puneet. How can I manage my expenses better? So that's one very important part is managing the expenses. Anybody else wants to add to what Puneet's put in? Yeah, sorry, Puneet also has the second important part. So Puneet has done two important parts of what I had to cover. So well done. Thanks, Puneet, of how to even allocate your income to various areas. So that, yeah, I see a few people typing, so I'm going to wait for a few seconds. Managing one's individual expenses. Okay, Nishant. Okay, that's also managing the expense side of it. So yes, one side is expense, and there's obviously the income side also. Both of which are equally important, and I'll cover why it's not just managing expenses. Okay. Uh, so basically, what is financial planning? It's actually a state where we are able to do certain things and not continuously feel worried. It is an ability for us to use the resources we have. So, Puneet mentioned how to use or where to spend. So that's one part of it. For me, actually, the fourth point is really the most important one. How do I feel, satisfied and happy with the decisions and choices I make? Because that really is what money should enable for us. right? It isn't really a race of more returns, or I got, I own so many mutual funds, or I have so many shares. But how do you feel more satisfied that, money is actually working for you? I think young professionals that mostly all of you are. I was just trying to put a framework. So what does it mean? We will all go through these stages. Very few of us will be able to directly jump from level one straight to level four. But basically, at the start of personal finance, it's just about learning to manage your money, basic budgeting, and trying to really live within your means. You then build a level of resilience which is able to take care of some unforeseen expenses, right? And that's when I would say you build kind of some resilience. You then start growing your wealth and start thinking about the big goals in life. And I know it's a very surprising thing, but you must start thinking about retirement as soon as you start working also. It sounds a little counterintuitive to you'll always say I have 30 more years, why should I worry about it? And I'll show you why I say that. And finally, being financially secure, which means I can take on any sudden movement that happens both in my portfolio as well as in life in general. So I hope to be able to give you this framework of how to go from having stress, so from the red part to the green part. So how do you get started? I think the most important thing you should really take away from this call is each one of us today are running our own race. We may be 22 years old, we may be 30 years old, we both might have been passed out from the same school, college, but deep down, personal finance is more personal than finance. Okay, I know it's a very cliche usage of it, but think of it like that: you're running your own race. You're not competing. Somebody has already saved money by age 24, and here you are at 24, and you still not started saving. Don't worry, you're running your own race. Second most important takeaway is, don't use any fixed formula and apply it to yourselves. Which means just because you are 30 years of age, it doesn't mean 70% of your portfolio needs to be in equity. Thumb rules are useful to get an idea of a concept, but not used blindly in that sense. So that's my second thing. Appreciate that we each one are running our own race. We have our own likes, dislikes, and kind of goals and ambitions that we want, and hence our money also needs to be there. And the most important part of it, you need to make a start now. Not start, a year from now, start 10 years from now, start when I have money. Right now, I'm not earning enough. These are all, I think, ways and excuses we give ourselves to delay something. But why should you start now? Now let's slightly interactive again. So assume there are two friends, right? They both start working at the age of 22. The first ones, the first salary itself managed to save 1,000 rupees a month and did that diligently for 10 years. So basically saved 10,000 a month for 10 years. The second friend said, let's spend money, we'll worry about savings later on in life. But at 32, got a little more conscious about it and saved then for the next 30 odd years, 1,000 a month. Both of them retired at 60. Does anybody want to take a guess what is the gap in their eventual returns? Can you see my screen, right?
Yes, yes, your screen is visible.
Okay. Anybody wants to take a guess of what is the difference between these two people at the age of 60? Just take a random guess. One person has saved only for 10 years, the other one has saved for 30 years. Both of them have saved 1,000 a month. The difference being one saved for the first 10 years, the other one waited for 10 years and then started saving. Just take a random guess. Say, the other one has 10 times more money, 2 times more money, both have the same money, anything. Okay, 5 times Nishant, 3 times
Puneet
Puneet,
says three times.
3 times. So that's the difference, nearly 2 times more, but the other person's invested 3x more. So the first person invested a lakh 20 And here the discussion is not on what rate they saved at. I just assumed a 9% in my calculation. That's not really the message. But just by starting early and letting your money stay invested, you see the big gap, right? 30 lakhs it becomes 17 lakhs, or the other way to look at it is you could have had an extra 13 lakhs to yourself. And this is with just a little 1,000 rupee example. So what I want to get you to think about is starting early has such a big advantage, and this is just with a 1,000 rupee example. The next thing, when before we move on, is you must look at personal finance as one of your biggest life projects. Why do I say it? Because irrespective of your age, etc., you not need to know how to manage your money, because money is going to be needed at all aspects of your life. As a young professional, you need the money. If you get married and have family, kids, etc., you need the money. At retirement, you need the money. And then you have grandkids, etc., you again need money. So think of it as like the amount of time, energy, effort we put into our other projects. For example, our career, our education. Managing our money is also equally a big project of our lives. I'm not trying to again say you need to do everything on your own, but you need to build an awareness that getting your personal finances in order is one of your projects. This cannot be outsourced and said, "Oh no, listen, my mother will manage it, my father will do it for me, or uh, my spouse will take care." Be aware. You can outsource some of it, but awareness has to be yours. But which is why I use a framework, 3D framework: dream, design, and do. Basically, dream is to help you understand what is the goals are you seeking for. Now, all of you today, if you take your college or you're studying, you have an exam coming up. The first step to do is to visualize, what is it that you're trying to do for the exam. You then start designing a study schedule. Okay, Monday I'll revise this, Tuesday I'll do this, Wednesday I'll solve a mock answer. You make some kind of a plan. The same thing with your money. You need to start thinking, what should I be doing, when I should be doing it. And the most important, you have to turn up to the exam hall on the date of the exam. The same way in personal finance, you have to implement all this. You're not just doing a study and saying, I know how to pick a mutual fund. I know you have a session coming up tomorrow on how to pick mutual funds. So if you just hear that session and say, okay, I now know what to do, you need to implement it also. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So that's the point. You need to first identify your goals, draw a plan up for it, and finally implement. So, what are the things we should do when it comes to implementation? The biggest one you start with is build an awareness, which is, I call it awareness, you can call it budgeting, you can call it, whatever it is. But net, you need to know first, are you saving? Are you spending more than what you make? And what's really happening in your life? A lot of times we have this inherent thing in our brain saying, no, I save a lot, or no, I'm not saving. Or if I ask you today a very simple question, how much of your income do you spend on online food? Listen, but it's not really, I'm saying this is good or bad. I'm just trying to build an awareness. Do you spend 5,000 a month on Swiggy and Zomato, or do you spend 4,000 a month? Only if you know what it is, will be able to take corrective action. So the first step to do is to understand your budget. There are a lot of apps available. For me personally, just using a pen and paper at the end of the month is very easy. And again, I'll give you some points. You could either be very detailed and very meticulous about it, or you can go very high level and download your bank statement and just identify the top 4 5 big buckets into which your money is going. But yeah, I leave it to you to figure out what works for you. But you need to be aware, and you need to then slowly move yourself from this formula of whatever income you get. First, make some investments and then look at the expenses. A lot of people today, spend the money as soon as it comes in, and then the investment is left for the 25th and 26th of the month, saying, "Oh, this month I have money, I don't have money." Just try the simple little trick of first making the investments and then spending. The next step in personal finance 101 is really building yourself an emergency fund. What is an emergency fund? Simply put, it's money stashed away. You can keep it in the bank, keep it in a separate bank account, keep it with your parents, keep it with a trusted friend or whatever. But this money is not for spending. This money is not for that sudden urge to buy a new phone. This is really, safety in case something really bad happens. You lose a job, or you get a pay cut, or you meet with certain kind of unforeseen expenses which you can't really handle uh, with your current set of income. Uh, Generally speaking, 3 to 6 months of living expenses plus the EMI is a good number to start with. But do keep in mind you have to factor in how stable your job is, what kind of family life, if your spouse is working, then potentially you could have a lower emergency fund because there is some income coming in. However, if both spouse work in the same company, the same kind of job, same profile, there is a good chance that both may lose jobs at the same time. So you want to budget accordingly. Where should you keep that money really? As I said, my personal preference is just keep it in the bank. If you think you may spend it, open a separate account or put it in an FD or something which is just there. The idea is this money is not to generate returns and become, a big part. It is more from a safety perspective. Any questions so far on these two first important steps?
So, Karthik, you mentioned emergency fund. So, what percentage of our income or of our salary should be our emergency fund?
No, you build it up. So if you are today spending 20,000 a month on your normal living expenses, then you keep saving slowly from your savings till you hit 60,000. So it's not every month you
Okay.
save from your saving. So it may take you 6 months, it may take you 7 months, but eventually you will reach 60,000. So the idea is to get to your emergency fund.
Okay. Okay. And like, how can students who is there any way that students can have emergency fund as saved up for themselves?
So again, I'm just seeing Devanshi's question. So yes, Devanshi, you are getting 10,000 a month. If for whatever reason you spend 8,000, that 2,000 should be saved. And frankly, as a student, you may have no other big expenses coming up. But generally speaking, for young professionals, once you're dependent on your work income, you need to start building the emergency fund. But think of the emergency fund as a one-time expense to build it up, and then once you use it again, you start building it up. But it's not a recur from every month's salary. You need to do it. You do it till you hit a comfortable number. I used an example of 3 times, which is why I'm saying you have to see now in case this is going to show you that I don't really understand all these new career options. But in case you are a kind of a, say, a software developer and your skills are really in demand, and you have confidence that if company A fires you, by the time you will leave company A, company B has hired you at 20% increment. Then you may be happy with a 3 month emergency fund. But in case you are such a specialist with your skill set and only 5 companies will be able to hire you, then I think you must build a 5 6 month kind of emergency fund. And second part to it is you have to again be true to yourself. See, end of the day, this is your personal well-being. It's not because a friend that you know has kept 3 lakhs as emergency fund and you're wondering why am I not kept three. Maybe they have 2 lakhs worth of EMIs. See, what you have to understand is a lot of what you see, you never know whether it is funded by themselves, whether there's a loan behind it. So come true to yourself and build an emergency fund that will take care of at least 3 6 months. Because see, the added advantage of having an emergency fund, especially since a lot of you are towards the early part of your career, it gives you the flexibility and option to pick the next job properly. You are not under stress to immediately accept the worst offer that comes your way. If I know today that I have at least one more month of money in my bank, I can do 2 more interviews. I can target the right company, and all of this has a compounding effect. You quickly leave job A to join B at 5% increment because you're desperate. Versus saying if I negotiate better and I negotiate from a position of strength, you may start with another 25 30% hike. So the idea is emergency funds allow all of this, and they are not meant just to be spent immediately. And Devaj, on your point of investing, I'll come to it. But first step is really to get your emergency fund in place. Before that, an awareness of where your money is coming and going, which is what the budgeting will do for you. The third step really is to protect, which is insurance. Now, again, life insurance through the form of a simple term cover is what you need. And who needs it? Whoever is an earning member, or if you're a slightly more want a fancy way of saying it, whoever has an economic interest. So if you're still a student and your parents are not dependent on you, you don't need to buy insurance and term cover when you're 19 years of age and 20 years. When you start working, you then start thinking of the cover. How much should you take? This is not a thumb rule saying XYZ actor comes on TV and says buy 1 crore policy. You need to assess what are your future expenses. For example, if you're a young professional married and just had a child, 1 crore is going to get over so quickly if your dreams for the child is to send them for higher education and etc. So please assess what is your life situation, what are your loans, liabilities, how much money will your spouse need, and then decide how much life cover you need. This is not a fixed, let's just buy 5 times my current salary. Today, if you're earning 20,000 a month, you pretty soon you'll start earning 50,000 a month, but you've not gone and changed your life cover. You think of it like this. Today, I have people coming to me where their car and bike are more insured than their personal lives, which is a very poor thing to happen, right? We will you buy a 5 lakh, 10 lakh car, bike, and you buy a 5 lakh, 10 lakh cover. And if you ask somebody how much is your life insurance cover, yeah, I think my parents took some 20,000 rupee LIC policy. So please don't fall into that trap. Buy insurance as a protection. It's not an investment. We're coming to investments very soon. I know that's the big part, but this is actually building your foundation. You get this super strong, nothing can shake you. The last bit on insurance is healthcare. See, I think that is something which is real today. I'm not here to scare, but the lifestyles that we lead, the kind of environments that we are in, the food we eat, the stresses around us, environment, etc., means we are, kind of aging much faster. But at the same time, advancement of science means, we're living longer. So do think about healthcare. How can you cover it? Again, it may not be very much applicable for those in their early 20s, but post 30, start taking care of your health, and get protection in the form of a health cover. So now investing, the thing which everyone thinks personal finance is all about. I think this is not. Personal finance is not just investing, it's the other two, three things that I've just covered. You do have to have a good budgeting in place. You do need to understand your protection and insurances and risk management in the form of emergency funds, etc. So when it comes to investing, simple rule to follow. I put in a picture of a thali. Your money also has to be like a thali. What do I mean? You need to diversify. You can just take in a random image of a thali, but you take any cuisine in India, globally, wherever, there is a balance in it. Imagine this thali only with the roti in the middle, nothing else on the side. Would you people really enjoy this thali? I guess not. The same way, if there was no roti and anything and there was just spicy pickle, you wouldn't. The same with our money. We need equity, debt, real estate, and nowadays people talk about this fourth category of new age crypto, NFTs, art, wine, commodities, etc. Everything has a space in your portfolio, but you must be aware that each one's got a specific job to do, and over kind of going into one of them is not a good idea. So when I talk about debt, debts in the form of fixed deposits, some of these LIC policies, which is actually not a good thing to invest in, NCDs, debentures, etc. Basically, where you lend money to somebody and you are assured of getting a certain fixed rate of return. It works for a certain kind of end use. Equity is the one which will give you higher returns, I would say, in a longer time frame, but it comes with a lot more risk because it keeps going up and down in value. You have real estate, which can be of two types. eventual end use where you want to stay in that house, so you start buying it whether through EMI or directly, and as a form of an investment where you rent it out or maybe you wait for it to appreciate because the area is going in the right direction. And finally, you got a new age. But keep in mind when you invest, every investment you make should have an end goal in mind. Don't buy products basis somebody saying buy X, buy Y. See where it fits it into your end goals. If I am today investing for the next 20 years, I wouldn't be putting money into debt, I'd be putting money into equity. However, if I'm investing money for the next 1 year and I need to pay my child's fees a year from now, I wouldn't take a risk with equity, how much ever the experts say that the market is undervalued and India will do well. I would be in debt. So if you notice, for each use of mine, I need to identify what asset will make sense and accordingly do it. When you invest, there is this whole, hype around tax. Realistically, think of it as what do you control? Do you control tax? No. Can you influence the finance minister into what should be the taxation? No. So accepted that taxes will be unpredictable. So what are the choices I can make today basis what I understand today and what I think makes sense? Should I quickly go buy a product because it's going to become taxable next month onwards? No. It doesn't make sense with my uh, asset allocation. The other part with tax, especially if you've started working, please do your paperwork on time. Don't wait for the last minute. There's no fun paying penalties and just seeing your money go waste. Don't wait till the last minute to submit your proofs. Submit them early, and more importantly, plan your taxes in April, not in March. At the start of the year, decide where you need to invest, how much you need to invest, basis your income, basis what you're going to submit as proofs. That automatically will add so much more clarity to your life.
Okay, I would like to pause you here, Kartik.
Sure. Yeah.
Just want to ask, are you changing slides for your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, because it's kind of stuck and slides are not changing.
Which slide is it on?
It's still okay now. Now it changed. Now it's fine.
Insurance. Have you seen investing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Maybe I think the full screen is not coming properly. But yeah. So I was
but
on
okay.
investing. Yeah.
Okay, so as we are on investing, we have a question from Kshitij. What are some of the top silly mistakes people do while investing?
Oh, excellent question. Kshitij, I think the biggest mistake I think people make is they copy others, right? And that I think is fundamentally, a way to lose money because even if you see someone, you don't know the full story behind it. Today, for example, if you see I've just written a check for X rupees into XYZ scheme, you don't know the rest of my portfolio, what I'm doing, but you assume, oh, this man is putting money into the scheme means it's good. So, copying somebody without knowing the full details will always be a mistake because, two, for example, we all, like to see what the big investors are doing, and we get very happy when we read some XYZ investor has bought 1,000 crores of company Z, and we think, oh, we should also buy. But we have no context. We don't know whether this is a big part of his portfolio, whether he's going to hold it for 1 year, 10 years, 15 years, or maybe he's just buying it and he's going to sell it in a week from today. So, copying anybody, I think, is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Because as I started by saying, if you accept that you're running your own race, you will make the right decisions because you're not worried about what others are doing. I'm going to use the example of just a simple marathon or a running race. Just because you see somebody at the 2 kilometer mark start running faster, and you also start running faster to copy, you will tire out because you didn't realize that that man was only running the dream run 5 kilometers, but you're running 42 kilometers. So that's what the mistake. You will tire out, you will be finished before you even kind of. Otherwise, if you had done your own speed, done everything on your own basis, your training, your asset allocation, you will reach your goal. So that really is what you want to do in personal finance. Get to your goal. You're not worried about what somebody else is doing, and there will be people who are faster than you, slower than you, somebody who can write a bigger check and invest more than you, less than you. As long as you are clear what game you're playing, you should be fine. Does that help?
I guess this is very helpful answer for Kshitij. So maybe we can take upon Devansh's previous question. Like if you borrow money from home, let's say 10,000 rupees and you're a student, so should you start investing, and if you should, then how?
Okay. See, fundamentally, as I put down here, always goal based. So, Devansh, what would you like to do with this money? Are you saving it to fund a future education which may happen in 5 years' time, or if you're thinking I'm going to use it up in 6 months' time, that will help you determine where to invest. If you're going to use this little savings that you make for the future, which is more than 3 or 5 years, then you can look at investing it in equity. If it is under 3 years, then you want to look at something in debt because that will give you at least safety and assurance that your money will be safe. Because equity markets or any stock, see, whichever stock you take, however good it is, will go up and down in prices. And I'll tell you one thing, anybody who tells you that they can predict where a stock will be 6 months from now, 1 year from now, is just pure lucky. If you could predict, things like that, they wouldn't really be there. You'd made enough money to literally sit on the beach and do nothing. So you can't predict what is going to happen to the stock market in a week, 10 days, 6 months. So take that, kind of understanding that if my money is more than 3, 5 years, I can then look at investing. Under that, I should take care of it and ensure 100 remains 100 and doesn't become 70, 80. With equity, it will become 70, 80 in between, but eventually go past 100. That's what I'm trying to get to when I say decide. Let the goal decide where your money should go, not a fixed product saying, okay, all college students who are saving should put their money here, or anybody who's working should put their money there. What is every rupee that you have? Think of it as what is the label I'm going to stick on it? Short term, medium term, long term. Once you stick a label on it, then you decide which product fits it. I just move on to the last thing, and to help you wrap it up. What is it that you need to do? So I think, as I said, hearing me, hearing some of the other speakers is all good, but eventually you have to implement what you hear. And when, again, I would be saying, implement what you think is right. Especially over the next 20, 30 years, you will have enough time to make some edits. So the first step you really do is collect the data. What do I mean by that? Assess your spending, assess your income. If you're a young professional, really see what is it that you're earning. Take the time to take your form 16 and understand how much money am I getting really in hand. I know today we live in an era where companies report CTC and we all compare. But if a lot of your CTC is actually not coming in as cash and it is linked up in some of the perks and some of the benefits that you get, be aware. I might be on 25 lakh CTC, but eventually I don't get 2 lakhs cash in my bank account every month. I'm getting 1 lakh, which means technically I'm at 12 lakhs of salary, right? So try and understand what is it you're making, where you're spending. Then, as I said, build the emergency fund. Don't think of it as like, nothing's happened to me in the first 2 years of college. This guy Kartik is just saying things. Maybe nothing happens. You're lucky. You never know when calamity strikes. So build that emergency fund. Take your 3 months, 6 months, 9 months to build it, but build it. Then identify what is meaningful for you. We live in this age of kind of social media where we try to copy others, but genuinely think what are your big goals with money. For somebody, maybe travel. So yeah, save up for traveling. You're not really worried then about your day to day and watching a movie with the first day with a big bunch of popcorn, right? You were saying, I want to save for this eventual travel. I love going on weekend camping trips. So find out what is it that motivates you to save that money for, and start saving towards that goal. Four, take advice when needed, not because I'm here as an advisor, but see, there are a lot of things where I slightly disagree with social media. You need not become an expert at picking stocks, filing your own taxes, doing it. You go to a doctor if you have, yes, basics. If you're running a little cold and cough, you might want to just listen, ask your mother, and she asks you to just take it easy for a few days, relax, have something hot. But do take professional advice. We go to lawyers today when we are doing something important and want a legal document vetted by somebody. Otherwise, I could just log on to the internet and ask for, give me a contract, and I'll get a contract. But take advice when it's needed. There are a lot of good advisors out there who will help you. And two is, to the question, which you just asked, some of the advisors have been through those mistakes, and hence you can avoid those mistakes. I'll give you one mistake I made early on in my life. At 21, 22, I thought trading and buying stocks on my own every day was the best way to make money. It worked initially, right? You were busy, then work started picking up. You didn't have time really to do this every day, and soon you realize that yeah, there's a thrill of finding a stock that you bought and it is up 5% today, and somebody sends you a message saying, "Arey, 5% up," and there's a rocket logo next to it. But then you look at your portfolio as a whole, it hasn't grown because one stock has gone up. Our mind keeps saying, "I'm an amazing guy. I found the stock at 5 rupees today. It's at 50 rupees." But I don't talk about the remaining 95 rupees which didn't go anywhere. So yeah, be aware of what you should do on your own, what you should outsource, and use the tools and the advice that you can. Next is to bring in more automation and system into it. If you are saving money, can I convert that into an SIP? For example, if you're not yet saving, but can I put in at least half an hour in my calendar or diary to do my budgeting every month and be aware? So that's basically these are all habits. Once your money habits at a young age are formed, you will repeat it whether you're making 1 lakh, 10 lakh, or 20 lakh kind of income, because the habits are ingrained in you. And finally, it is not a one-time effort; it's a review. I don't tell people you have to keep constantly looking at your portfolio, but at least once a year, look at where your money is, what's happening, is it gone up, gone down, and again at major milestones. For example, this is bonus season. Pause a minute. If you made a 10%, 20% bonus, what should I do with that money? Should I be paying some loan off? Should I increase my SIPs? Or should I take a nice holiday because I deserve it? Money is not just meant for saving and investing. You do spend it, but be aware of where it's being spent. Finally, I mean, just to wrap it up, I think uh, you've done the right thing. You've taken charge by at least turning up and listening to it. So, well done on that. Avoid copying your friends and investing in latest buzzwords, keywords, fads. Review your stuff. Very important part. I keep repeating it. And also then get your paperwork in order. This is not really something people look at, but please, at a start, build that habit. I know it's all digital today, but trust me, you will go through multiple email accounts over your course of your career. You will have multiple addresses. Today, if you're not yet married, you're a young professional, you may have your parents as nominees, you may have somebody, your aunt as a nominee. Eventually you forget to update some things. Your bank account is in a city, you work in a second city, your parents are in a third city. So avoid all of it. Please try and get your paperwork in order. I have a simple document. If anyone's interested, just drop me a message and I'll share that with you, where you can put all of this together, keep it safe, because at the end of the day, it's your money. You and your family need to take care of it. Yes, some of you may say, but everything is online. I click this button on XYZ app and my entire portfolio is available. Pause for a moment and think, does your parent know that you actually have your demat account or your investment account with XYZ app? Probably not. I know when we talk to your parents and who may not be staying with you, we talk about other random things. We went and saw this movie. I did this, mom. I did that, dad. You rarely say that मेरा account HDFC में है, and my PF account is this. So paperwork is important. End of the day, that's your proof of ownership. This is the last slide. Simply, if you can just see this. Uh, Literally 20 years back, I started my SIP. If you see, it's not about which scheme and all of it, that's irrelevant. I'm just trying to show you simple stuff. Doing an SIP, trust me, at the end of 10, 15 years, you will realize that you can be financially free to do what you want. This is the power of systematically taking care of your money and taking interest in your personal finances. Uh, I think that's from me. That's my
So
details. If someone wants
before
to
moving
reach
on
out,
to the
but
audience
let's take
questions,
questions. Yeah.
yeah, before moving on to the audience questions, which I guess we have a lot, I just want to ask, what are some of the long-term financial goals that young professionals should have?
Biggest one, retirement.
Okay,
I know, I know it is. You just started working, and here is this guy telling me to plan about retirement. But
right.
pause for a moment and see. See, we are going through some structural changes. Your parents' generation probably studied for 15, 18 years.
Mm,
Then they worked for 20, 25 years, and their life expectancy was around 60, 70 years of age. Uh, I'm 40 or today, so I'll say I think I may survive till 75, 80. But the new generation, today's 16 and 17-year-olds, will last at least till 80, 90. And that's because of multiple things. Our science is getting better. At a young age, we are getting better food and better nutrition. If again you rewind and ask your grandmother, she will say we used to get very little food to eat, and maybe your great grandparents were happy if they even got a full meal a day. So I'm not. See, I'm saying because now we're going through this structural change, you may actually today study for 25 years. Today, a lot of people do a post graduation and studying till their age 25, 27. I'm assuming everything is straightforward. They don't take a break and work in between. You then not even if you say retire at 60, 25 years of working has to take care of 30 years of retirement. So see the pressure
right.
already being built. Your parents had 20 years of working, 20 years of retirement, or 30 years of working and 20 years of retirement. See, the ratio has changed now, which means if I delay my retirement planning till I'm 50, then you don't have that time to build the corpus. So it has to be as early as you can. Now, the question in someone's mind is going to be, but Karthik, I don't know whether I want to retire at 60 or whether I want to retire at 50. I'm saying get yourself into a good position. You make so much money by saving and investing and building a corpus. At 55, you decide if you want to work, you work till you're 90. But if you feel like I want to go sit and chill in the beach, you go sit and chill in the beach. But don't
Right.
fall into the camp saying, I have no option today. I mean, again, not getting into a political debate, but if you take France today, why are these people rioting? Because they've been told you have to work 2 more years. So imagine somebody who thought at 62 they would have retired and the government will take care. But now today they're saying no, you have to work 2 more years.
Hmm.
I'm a big fan of put it all in your control. You decide. You will be awesome at your job, and yes, I would want to work till the last minute that I can, or I will pick up flexi work. So, see, given the changes, I think youngsters, the day you start earning, do have one eye on when you want to stop earning and how will you fund for that. And the other bit, which is kind of prevalent now, is we are not going through the standard join Infosys and I'll stay in Infosys for 30 years and
Hmm.
retire with a gold watch. You want
Right.
to work for 3 years and then I want to go on sabbatical, I want to travel, I'm taking a 6 month break and going exploring Latin America. Which means, at some stage, all of that can only be enabled as if you are doing it. The government system in the scheme cannot, because it comes back to my point. Personal finance, see, government is designing NPS as everybody will start working, everybody will retire at 60. But you have a dream to launch your startup at 45. Somebody else on this call, wants to work for 8 years and then become a writer, become a poet. So take some time to think. What is going to happen is every year when you do your review process, something will change. You may no longer want to become a writer. Adjust your goals accordingly. It's always good to be in a position where you have the money and have all of the infrastructure in place and then say, okay, I don't really need to spend this money, I'll reinvest it somewhere. But don't turn up at 60 and then wonder where do I get money from.
Right. So I think we can take audience questions now.
Sure.
So Nishant wants to ask, let's say I can invest 2000 per month as a student and I want to learn how to invest money. So how shall I go with it?
See, Nishant, I think this brings two important parts. One is, yes, I want to learn about how to invest money, and if you're thinking of buying stocks and understanding how to build your own portfolio, please go ahead and do it. And you can read multiple books, follow people on social media, and yes, there is an importance to learn it the hard way, so as to speak. Uh, and I'll tell you upfront, you will lose some capital also, but you will learn a lot. So that is okay. But at some stage, once your corpus is a bit bigger, be true to yourself. If directly doing stocks is only earning you X return, correct? Think hard and say, is it better if I outsource it and use a professional mutual fund or something where my return is better? See, I'll tell you, everyone need not become a stock picker. Everyone need not just keep buying and selling stocks. What you need to understand is my portfolio, is my money growing? So keep that in mind. But yes, please learn. Be aware you will lose some money, and that's a tuition fee every one of us pay. Ensure that the tuition fees is not too high. So don't make the
Right.
risks when you're talking about 20,000 a month and 2 lakhs a month. What you want to learn and make mistakes, do it early.
So, Bhavtosh wants to ask, I am working right now, but will take a break for 2 years for higher education and won't have a regular income in that period. Should I wait for after I complete my education to start investing in SIP since they require regular investing? And if there is any alternative for that?
No, no, Bhavtosh. I think, see, if there is no income coming in, then it's tough to do an SIP. What I would just say is you plan your investments in such a way that you're aware that once you finish your higher education, you restart the process as quickly as you can. And again, finding a balance between, in case you are taking an education loan, there will be an EMI pressure on paying that. But frankly, if no income is coming in, there's no way to do an SIP, and you would have to pause it. But if you had joined at the start of the presentation, I was just showing that by delaying certain things, you actually miss out on a lot of compounding. So be aware that as quickly as you can, maybe a 2.5 year gap is not going to make or break it. But don't let that 2.5 year gap suddenly become an 8 year gap and a 10 year gap saying, oh, now I just started earning, let me become the first promotion, then I'll start my SLP. As quickly as you can, please get back to the savings and let that compounding continue. And if, as much as possible, what you've invested, don't let it break, as in don't try and cash it. But at the end of the day, see, money has to be used. So if you do need it for your higher education, please use it up. And I would say what you have today, if that is earning you 10, 12%, there's no point taking a loan at 14, 15% to fund your education. So do the maths. If it works for you, that if you're not borrowing for your education, let your SIPs, as in let the existing money continue. If you need to, then use it, because technically, like something like a credit card debt cannot be done by stock market. I can't make 30%, but I'll be paying 30% on credit card debt. So look at it like that.
Okay. Moving on, Anushka wants to ask that she is a fresher and she just got her first job and her salary is around 25,000 per month and she's living with her parents and don't have much responsibility now. So how should she divide her fund and make the most out of it?
Firstly, congratulations, Anushka, on getting a job. Well done. So I think when it comes to the first check that you start receiving, and if you're staying with your parents, um, it goes back to start identifying what is this money going to be for you. I'm sure you have certain goals in mind. maybe some part of that money you want to celebrate and spend. And I'm talking about every month's income. uh, I just spoke about retirement. Start saving some of it towards your retirement. If wedding, etc., is in your goals and plans, start saving towards it. But most importantly, see, just identify the top two or three things what this money should do for you. Uh, Basis that, you will then identify what product category it needs. As I was explaining, if this money is not needed for 3 years, look at equity mutual funds. Start with a very simple index fund, a Sensex fund or a Nifty fund. Get comfortable with investing. Let your money keep compounding. If your money is shorter term, this thing. And definitely, I come in a camp where use that little part of your money also to celebrate such kind of moments. But yeah, it's not that every month then celebrates the job for the first 12 months of your kind of life, but use it in a way that makes you happy. It is enabling it. Not everything is really about SIP and returns. So find that balance according to you. I'm sorry, I can't give a very specific answer because I don't know what your real goals are. But if you
Right.
really want something specific, reach out for a chat and I can guide you to specifics. But at this stage, I would say is if there is no big commitment for that money, start stashing some of it for your long-term needs in something like a basic index fund to start at least.
Okay. So, Chetna wants to ask, how can students or young professionals work on building up their credit scores? And is credit scores important?
Yes, I think credit as such is important to understand. And yeah, it's a good question. I didn't cover it, uh, you know, earlier. But see, there are multiple things that go into a credit score rating. And some of the big items include one, obviously, your ability to keep repaying your loans on time. Two is how much loan are you taking and how much are you using of it. So if you have a credit card which is giving you 30,000 and every month you're spending up to 29,000 on it, your credit score is going to be low. Because the banks are going to view it as somebody who's just so desperate, they're using whatever is given. So find a ratio. See, I think the other bit to think about is don't allow credit or fall into the trap where credit is becoming the answer to everything. If you genuinely cannot buy a certain product today, right, and it's an impulse purchase, wait till you save the money, then buy it. Today, I know we live in this world where there's so much free credit available. Trust me, nothing is free. There is no zero EMI, there is no free credit available. Everything has a cost inbuilt into it, and you need to find that inbuilt cost. Okay, and if you can't reach out to me, I'll happily show you where that cost is embedded. But do build a credit score because the biggest credit that you're going to take sometime in life will be a home loan. And if you can get a home loan at 8.5 rather than 8.6 over a 25-year period, that is going to be a big saving for you. So use your credit very carefully. Do not maximize. Do not, you know, मिस पेइंग अ बिल दिस मंथ सिंह अरे यार चलेगा 5,000 का बिल है मिस हो गया तो क्या है योर क्रेडिट स्कोर विल हर्ट यू 5 years from now when you go for that home loan. And they say elephants have a big memory. Credit bureaus have an even bigger memory. There will be some account where you had borrowed, you thought you had paid the loan, but unfortunately the last installment was pending, etc. You will be running behind. Which is it comes to my point on paperwork. If you are opening a credit card, please ensure when you close it, you get confirmation it has been closed and there are no outstanding charges.
Hmm.
If somebody on the call that you've spoken to says, "Sir, it has been closed," "Madam, it has been closed," no. "Sir, madam, please send me an email, SMS, letter saying it has been closed." And these are all small things which have a huge impact. Because do the maths, just open an Excel sheet or open your calculator and just start paying 10.1%, 0.2% extra for 25 years, and you will see how much more money you're paying. So, credit is important. I 100% appreciate we can't be funding some of the bigger items in our life on our own if we are just starting to work, etc. But use it very cautiously. There is no free money being offered to you. And the second, this is a slightly debatable topic. Sometimes, in this whole hacking the system approach, which a lot of people want to do, saying, what I do on the 25th, I use my Axis Bank card, and on 26th, I roll over to my Stand Chart, and on 30th, I'll call up HDFC and I will roll it over. तो बस ऐसे करने से 90 days का मुझे क्रेडिट मिलता है. It sounds good. One small slip up here or there because there's a bank holiday, because there is something not in your control, and the entire pyramid will collapse, and you will pay late charges at three places, impacting your credit score. So be very careful about all these social media hacks. If you really need air miles, then take a card which gives you air miles. If you work in Bangalore, your parents are in Delhi and you travel often, that makes sense. But don't just take a card, don't then, get something because of some random freebies on offer.
So I guess our audience will be pretty satisfied with the answers. But just in case if you guys want to know more, you can contact Karthik directly. So Karthik, if you can drop in your details in the chat box for the audience.
Yeah, sure. I'll just drop my email ID.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of a very informative and insightful session. This was very helpful, and I guess we all are learning bit by bit about personal finance. But better, like, we have to start early, I guess.
Yeah, I think my final takeaway is start as early as you can. Do reach out to people, not just me, but reach out to whoever you think will be able to help you. But most importantly, just start implementing. There is no perfect time. There is no perfect market condition. The earlier you start, the better it is. So, with that, thank you for the Safal team for having me on for this session, and more importantly, you know, thank you to all of you. Staying back on Friday evening to listen to this. So, good luck with your careers. Good luck with your education, and hope to be in touch with you.
So, thank you, Karthik, for giving us your precious time, and thank you, audience, for this interactive session. So, X Factor will continue tomorrow, and we will see you guys there. So, thank you, everyone. Bye bye.